With all these different AI webcams out in the market right now, ones that can automatically track you, even zoom, I thought it'd be time for a little bit of a head-to-head. This is the eMeet Pixie, and it's the first webcam that's got a dedicated camera just for AI. It's kind of the new kid on the block, but I thought I'd pit it against two different cameras, both from the same company who are renowned for AI tracking. The first one that's going to pit against them is this one. This is the Tiny SE. This is a 1080 webcam and this is 4K. And its other competitor is the Tiny 2. This is the 4K big brother of the SE. Now the idea behind this is basically to showcase what's possible with 4K, but then also what's possible with 1080. I'll be using both companies' software. I'm going to use them on a default setting. The other thing I'm going to do as well is I'm going to turn out all the lights. Okay, so what you're seeing right now is the two cameras side by side, and I've just moved back a little bit from my desk, so I'm about just about a meter away. So the eMeet Pixie is on the top here on the software, and then the OBSBot one is on the bottom, but then all the controls are on the side because it has a separate preview window. Hi, you're watching and hearing the eMeet Pixie at 4K 30, outputting to QuickTime. None of our lights are on, and this is the default setting. Hey, you're listening to and watching the Tiny SE by OBSBot. This is the default setting. There's no HDR going on here, so it's just picking up the audio and the video straight away, and it's being recorded directly in OBSBot's center. The software you get with it going straight into my computer. Hey, you're now listening to and hearing the OBSBot Tiny 2, the 4K version. Again, everything is on default and it's been recorded directly into OBSBot Center and all the lights are off. Hi, this is the eMeet Pixie with my lights on and with my key light on. Again, everything is in default. I've not changed any settings. Now you're seeing the Tiny SE with all the lights on, including my key light, and it's being recorded directly in the OBSBot Center software. Again, you're hearing the microphones as well. And now you're seeing it with all the lights on, the key light, all the lights around. Again, everything recorded on default into OBSBot Center, the software that comes with OBSBot. Now I've got no lights on whatsoever in the studio. All my side lights are off, all the big lights are off, because I wanted to see what it looked like and what it would do just in this room. It's pretty dark right now. It's bright outside, so you might see a couple of reflections of cars going past my window. The key thing with this is I've actually had to set the eMeet Pixie to a specific point before we even begin. And you'll notice that on the PTZ control. But before we even get to that, have a look at the preview. This car's just come past then, you saw the reflections. Have a look at the preview. First of all, the preview on the eMeet Pixie is really pale. And the other thing as well is you can see a lot of digital noise. And there isn't any digital noise on the Tiny SE. The kicker with this is have a look at the frame rates. The Pixie is at 4K 30 and the SE is at 1080 30. So this is 4 times the quality of this, and yet somehow it's just way better on the OBSBot. By the way, just no trickery. I'm going to go into like effects. I've got it all on default. With image, I've got it all on default here, except this has an option for HDR, high dynamic range. So I've got that switched on because why wouldn't I? And then also you've got control. So we've got standard control, tracking, and privacy. That's pretty much it. With the tracking for the OBSBot, you've got all these different things: upper body, closed body, normal tracking, motion, headless, lower body. Then you've got hand tracking or group tracking. Then you've got presets that you can add on as well, which I haven't done yet. And then with the Pixie, you've got these things for audio modes. You've got filters here, and then the audio itself. Now, the audio you're listening to right now is one of these two cameras. It is actually the OBSBot Tiny SE that you're listening to. So now you're hearing the audio of the eMeet Pixie. So that is actually saying it's at mixing 100%, and that's actually going through. There's no monitor there. If I click monitor, I can hear it. If I click mixing, there it is there, and it's coming in there, and it can actually show you other things that are connected, apparently. And you can say never pick up the sound. You can do that here with this one as well. So that's coming through right now. Let me know which one sounds better. So I've moved the audio back over to the Tiny SE, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go on to normal tracking. So normal tracking, which you can do by clicking this button on the OBSBot. The other thing you can do as well, there's some reflections from some cars, but if I actually put my hand up it will automatically do it for both. So they can actually go into tracking mode straight away. And the tracking obviously depends on, what it's looking at, and that's fine. If I was to sort of stand up and move around, then let's just see how the tracking works and if it actually stays on me. And again, I'm deliberately not having any lights on because I don't want it to kind of, have advantage or anything like that at all. Now, I've not played around with the image or anything like that, other than the OBSBot's got the HDR option. So as I move around and you can hear the camera and stuff, you can see how it tracks. I think the OBSBot has it. Even at 1080, the colouring just looks more vibrant. I can change the colouring of the eMeet as well. And one thing they're both doing right now is they're doing normal tracking. I can then obviously say, take the tracking off. So let's just put my hand up. And the eMeet is faster at recognizing the hand, probably because of that dedicated camera, by maybe 1 second. What is it doing now? It's in standard mode, and the eMeet has decided to go and look at the ceiling. I haven't done anything. I'm not touching it at all. I'm now going to have to intervene. Both of them have got these joysticks. So if I click this, it kind of goes to where I want it to. With this joystick, if I click here, nothing happens. In fact, I feel like I'm fighting it into going the wrong way. So if I do that, it carries on going that way. There's my Sony look down. So I have to grab it in the middle. And look what happens when I finish grabbing it. It kind of fights back. I don't like this joystick at all on the eMeet. I think it's awful. It needs definite upgrade. And this one has a clever trick where we can actually change the speed. So we can actually say fast and move it, quite fast. Or what you can do is you can actually move it slowly. So I can bring this down. So then as you're moving it, it makes sort of micro adjustments. So you can actually have it how you want. Now, yes, the OBSBot is 1080, it's not 4K, but look at the difference. I'm blown away, if I'm honest. Considering the eMeet Pixie has a dedicated camera for AI, what on earth is it doing just automatically looking up then all of a sudden? I don't know why it was doing that. I didn't do anything there, honestly. It just did it on its own. And we can go into things like filters. So let's go into the filters now. Let's have a look. We've got bright. It's even worse. We can go into that and go into these and say, right, well, let's customize it. So then I'd bring the brightness down. And I just want you to have a look at, obviously, things I'm doing whilst I have to adjust it. I have to. I mean, you may argue that the OBSBot looks a little bit red in comparison, but you can see it's got the AE lock, so I could turn the lock off, and maybe we could adjust this. That's looking a bit better. There we go. We're at 2000 on the EV, so it's mad. The auto white balance, we could obviously bring up and change depending on what you want it to look like. And then 50 or 60 hertz, so let's just go 60, why not? Look, it's looking a bit crazy now because I'm 60 hertz, so let's put it back to 50. And I'm actually going to put these back onto default. Go restore to default. Default, there we go. Restore to default. Is that on default now? Then you've got assistance, so focusing where it focuses and stuff, and the autofocus. And you've got that all in here in image. You've got autofocus, whether it's face or global. Auto exposure, so we can take the auto exposure off, and I can adjust that. So let's go 1/6. So let's go 1/60, and then change this up. So we can obviously move it around. And this is where you're going to see the difference between 4K and 1080. You're going to have obviously 4 times less pixels on the OBSBot, but I would just leave it on auto and go face, and maybe you want to do a little bit of compensation, -3 there. And then you've got a white balance. We could change the white balance, turn it on, turn it off. But you've got way more things you can do in the terms of tracking. This is unusable. In my humble opinion, you can let me know what you think. You could color it afterwards. But even though, if you have a look just here, where it says, don't forget to subscribe, you can see there, look at it here, look at the noise it's generating. It's generating what's called digital noise, where it just looks grainy. That's just not happening on the SE. And I think it's just, I think it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute win. The OBSBot is a wider image, so it's obviously a wider lens or a wider sensor, and you can go medium or narrow. So if I was to be fair, I'd probably put it on the medium to be as close as possible, but I prefer it on the wider one if I'm honest. So on that basis, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to turn on all my lights. So let's start with the LED lights that are all around the studio. Let's do that now. Now the eMeet's looking a little bit better. That's fine. I'm going to close the blind, and then I'm going to turn on my main key light here, which I normally have. And in a sense of colouring, you can just see that the OBSBot, even though it's 1080, is picking up the red colour in the background. Everything, all the other lights are white, and it just looks, I think, a lot better. I think I wouldn't have to do anything to this. I could go stream with this and it'd be fine. It is 1080, whereas the Pixie is 4K. I would have to then go into the Pixie and try and do stuff with it. What I'm going to do as well is, just to give it as fair as possible, I'm going to turn the HDR off. It'll just go blank for a little bit. It looks even better. Okay, well, let's leave the HDR off then. And there we go. So HDR off at 1080 looks better than 4K 30 on the eMeet Pixie. I don't know what to say. Okay, so to be fair to the Pixie, I've taken the Tiny SE off, and what you're now looking at is the Tiny 2. So both are now 4K, as you can see just there, and basically on the other one there and there. And again, the OBSBot just smashes it. It's absolutely perfect. And whilst we're having this conversation as well, I've been struggling with the Pixie because it just decides, and it hasn't done it for a good 30 seconds, it just decides to look at the ceiling. Even though I've got it saved to position 1, do not move, it just decides to bugger off and look at the ceiling on its own accord. Anyway, and again, I'm just going to put my hand up. So both of them are now tracking me. So again, as I sort of move, and I can set the kind of tracking that I want with the Tiny 2. So you can see it's got, again, upper body, close, headless, lower body. Why did that move? Desk mode, whiteboard, hand tracking, and group. And then again with the image, I haven't got the HDR switched on. So I think it's just a much more natural tone. And the effect, this is on customized. Let's go to default. There we go. It's exactly the same, and it just absolutely beasts it. Now, the thing is, with the Tiny 2 is more expensive than the eMeet Pixie, but I would pay this every day just to get this kind of image. And this is a 4K image, so this image actually this one beats the actual. So the HD one, the Tiny SE, in my opinion, beats the Pixie anyway, but there's just no comparison anymore. And why does this camera just keep edging up? You can see the way I'm here, it just keeps edging up. Now I'm going to turn the tracking off on both of them. And I'm going to keep still for a minute. I'm not touching anything. I'm just going to keep my hands where they are. There it goes. What is this camera doing? So there alone, that might be a bug, and that's fine, and I'll report that to eMeet, obviously for them, no problem. But this thing of it just going up and up and up and up and up, and I've even said, right, go to position 1. So you should be locked on that now, so you shouldn't move at all. And I don't know, give it a minute and it'll do it. The other thing as well I want to point out, there you go, on its own, not touching it, not doing anything, no trickery or anything. I've actually just told the OBSBot to track now because I put my hands up. But let's go one stage further with the OBSBot, and I'm sick of you looking at my ceiling. Let's go one stage further with OBSBot. Let's put HDR. And now the HDR's on as well. So now that will just work. And eMeet's just obsessed with my old light socket. So that was a bit of an eye-opener. These two absolutely beasted the eMeet Pixie. And the thing with it is, most of that's down to software. I think eMeet have got a long way to go before they get to this level. And the fact you've got things like dual ISO and different kinds of sensors really, really help. Now I've got links for both Obswat cameras in the description box below. If you want to go and grab one, then of course it helps out the channel because it's an affiliated link, but no extra cost to you. In fact, sometimes it might even save you some money. Now if you found the content of this video useful, then give it a thumbs up. That really helps me and it helps the channel grow. On any of my videos, if you found them really helpful, then you can do what's called a super thanks. That's the heart with a $sign. It's like tipping me for giving you some great information. And with a tiny SE, if you want a more detailed look at that, I did a dedicated video just on this. That's that video that's just come up on screen. Go watch it.